Let's wind down the music. Okay. How is everyone feeling? Okay, let's see the comments. You are David. You are so wonderful and interesting. I hope to drink tea one day in Scotland. Well, I hope to drink tea with you as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Carolyn. Jill, thank you. I can hear you. All right, Carolyn, I'm doing great. How are you? Amma, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Good morning from Western New York. All right. Well, yes. Well, there are many ways that you can share tea with me. Primarily, there is a bespoke service that you can tap into if that is something you're called to explore. So welcome everyone. Today's subject is something that's really close to my heart, and I am, it takes a lot to really come in here to talk about this, but really let's dive in very beautifully and gently into this, because there's some real talk that I want to talk to you about today. And beyond talking, I would love to invite you to really drop in from this level of the mind to really feel in your body what is going on. The feeling itself is very crucial in everything that we're going to explore today. And firstly, if you haven't heard and you haven't met me, welcome. My name is Ling, and I am a spiritual mentor, and also I am a Cha Dao, or in English it's the Way of Tea, ceremonial keeper. And this is a work that I truly feel is so much about inner exploration. It is about really coming into a place of fully owning your divine nature. And my work here is really to guide you to uncover all the little crust of the world that we live in that has given us in that way. Although we will dive deeper into this to know that ultimately there is no one else but us. And therefore, we stop finding ourselves seeking for validation. We stop finding ourselves steeping deep in all the victimhood mentality, and actually come back to knowing who we truly are and acting from that center. We are rippling out our divine light from the center of our own divinity. And we also get to enjoy a beautiful and right relationship with spirit, with nature, with all that you are, meaning the relationship that you have with others. Although ultimately, and this is a higher level conversation, but ultimately I really want you to come into the frequency that I always hold in all my spaces, that we are all fractals of the divine. What that means is that everything that we see, everything that we experience is a reflection of our own consciousness. Our own consciousness informs us on our lenses, basically, the eyes that see. The sacred eyes that I'm literally so devoted to opening up with you is the core of the conversation we're going to have. So I ask of you, I invite you to come and join this conversation with an open heart and really a next level curiosity, let's put it that way. I don't intend to ask you to agree with everything I say here, but I do ask you to perhaps inquire if you disagree with this, why? If I truly agree with this, what's the next step? What would I like to anchor in today? Because the key of this conversation isn't just to give you something that flies by over your head and you tune in, you're feeling great, and then the next thing you know, you forget all about it. What I really want you to do is to be really interactive so that this anchors in something powerful and potent for you. Okay? So that is what I really am setting as a standard for all of us here. Energetically, we are all holding this, okay? No matter how many people tune in today, I trust that this will land in the spaces that this is needed, okay? So firstly, the question of, are you diluting your authentic voice? And hello everyone, if you're here, please say hello. I would love to just channel through some energy to you, whatever that you are, really inviting today into your life. May it be so evidently clear that it is already available to you, okay? So please say hello. I would love to really engage with your energy as well. Hello, Nicole. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So the question, I want to just make sure I get the question correctly. Is your authentic voice diluted by the way you want to appear to others? Yeah? Is it being diluted? And Jill is saying here, being my authentic self has become a huge priority for me. Absolutely. Yes, at all times diluted. Okay. So I really want to come in here and share with you that being authentic is a really powerful, pivotal moment for me. And firstly, I want to tell you this. Like, I came from a huge journey of really owning my voice. I used to be one of those people who are, I still remember how it felt like, and this is how it felt like, really. Seeing how others are like and finding that, oh wow, that's so powerful and that works for them and they're so successful, I'm going to mimic that. That's going to be the way to my own success. Okay, let's do it. Let's mimic that. And trust me, if you haven't worked through the conditionings that we literally carry with us throughout our lives, yeah, Nicole, that's really interesting, isn't it? Second day in a row, this question has shown up in your field. Something is here. All right, let's dive into this. Let's hope this will give you something of value as well. So who here does that? Like, you see someone who is really doing their thing and it's like, yes, it works for them. I'm going to emulate, because it is so normalized in today's society to emulate someone who is successful, who's got it, oh, she's being that way, so I'm going to channel her way of doing, or like figure out how she does it, or how he does it, or how they do it. And if you haven't worked through your layers and layers of conditioning, it's very easy to believe that that is your authentic voice, that is your authentic self. But what is basically happening, and I'm going to be very honest with you, is that you are literally becoming a carbon copy of another person, right? Sarah says, I feel like I emulate men, then get resentful when it doesn't work for me. Yeah, exactly. So this is what I really want to bring forward to you. We are such powerful creators of our reality. And when I say reality, the truth of the matter is, when I say reality, I often ask this question, like I used to ask this question a lot, at least, where I would ask, like, what is actually real? Because there are so many perspectives to one single situation. Someone could have said, oh, that situation that happened, that was like a blessing. And then another person could say, like, oh, that was the worst thing that ever happened, and I am going to put my guard up, and I'm not going to even allow any of that into my field anymore, right? So when we are looking at the situation, it is very important to understand that even though we think we are authentic, many times, if we haven't really done the deep inner work of really letting ourselves go to a very, very potent place where it feels like, to your logical mind, that you have lost your mind. Yeah? Listen very carefully. If you haven't gone to a place where your mind feels like it's completely lost control, it doesn't know, then you probably still carry with you layers and layers of conditioning where everything needs to be set out very clearly, and it has to be in a very controlled form, meaning I've seen someone do it, so I am going to do it. There is evidence already that it works, and so I am going to do that. That's my authentic self. Because I see a truth in it. So I think it is authentic. And you're not wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. There is something authentic about that truth that you have witnessed. That evidence has awakened a seed of light in you. Now, my invitation to you today is to really check in here. Your front of house and the back of house. Is there a coherent stream of energy that's running from the front to the back and from the back to the front? Or are there any points where you have compromised the energy so that it appears at the front of the house usually to look good, to make sure you don't ruffle any feathers, to make sure that you know that it works because someone else did it and it worked for them, and you branded that as that is my authentic self? Because it is really important for us to understand who we are today in this modern society, for us to actually make a change, to actually feel like it is something. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk about that book, Tina. So yes, I haven't read it yet too, but that sounds like a good recommendation. Thank you. So when I speak about a really beautiful, so here's another thing. Thank you, Tina, for bringing that up. You know, we can read the books, we can listen to the coach, we can hire a mentor, we can buy the programs, we can buy the courses, we can tune into Insight Timer right now and listen to a stranger speak, or on Instagram. But if it doesn't land for you, it isn't authentic. It just isn't. And this is where I really want to come in here to share, because my journey of going from someone who felt like the right thing to do is to mimic someone else's success to someone who's like, I'm so liberated that I don't follow anyone else's structure. And even if in the current situation, I am losing so many, I don't know, followers or clients, like to other people's perspective, it's like I'm losing. What I deeply understand is that my energetic alignment, my energy has shifted, and there are some energy forms that are not in harmony with that is going to perish in order for something new to be created. Something has to die for something new to be created. That is the cycle of life in this dimension. And to do this work, we are really required to really be so fucking honest with ourselves. Are we in the right relationship with several things? First, are we in the right relationship with spirit? Second, are we in the right relationship with our external reality? Okay? These two things, they work in tandem, because here's the thing. In my mentorship, it is very important to understand that we get to really anchor ourselves in the center of our divinity, and also root ourselves very deeply in earth. Because we can think we are so spiritual, we're so out there, we've done all the work, and yet it is only literally the ego masking itself behind this spiritual brouhaha, right? And this can come in the form of really high judgment for others. It can come in the form of, no, they're so wrong and I'm so right. It can come in the form of, again, front of house, back of house. how do you think that being right and spiritual or whatever it is, or authentic, let's go back to the topic of the day, looks like, and you compromise some kind of energy from the back to the front so that you appear that way in the front. Yeah, so this often is a huge thing in the modern society that we live in, is that because we have access to information very easily. I mean, like Tina right now is saying, go read this book. And it's so easy for us to like, yeah, let's buy the book off Amazon. Next day you get the Amazon book, and then you read it and you're like really stimulated, your mind is tickled, your mind is like expanded, which is a great thing. And now the next step is, how is this going to be integrated into my life? How is this integrated into my being, into every fiber of my being? And also, it probably may awaken some stuff in you. Are you going to go to that stuff and really work with it? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to shove this down, and I'm going to just follow certain things. I cherry pick the certain things that I read about. I cherry pick some of the stuff that is easy for me to align with. You know, I'm not going to go deal with all the icky stuff because they're icky. And then you call it authentic. And this is why I hardly actually recommend any books to my clients until much, much later in the mentorship with them. Because just a little insight into how I work in those mentorship spaces is that I really understand where you're coming from. You know, oftentimes it's like, these are incredible multidimensional women who have had coaching programs, courses, books under their belt for many, many years. And yet they're coming to me. And this, I'm telling you, is because they always say this, is that they understand it. They get it. But it's not landing in their lives. It's not being reflected in their reality. It's like there's something that they don't understand. Why am I not getting it? And I'm telling you this because, I mean, honestly, personal experience, it's happened so many times in my life. And it often is because when there is an invitation for you to step up into your next level, there is this almost like two doors where you get to say, okay, this is your free will. Are you going to walk through door A, or are you going to walk through door B? And a lot of people, the majority of the world, literally do not want to do the dirty work of confronting their fears, of really embracing the pain, because they're afraid. And I can understand this. Here's the thing, I can totally understand why people don't want to do that. Because the majority of the world is actually, they're literally existing. They're existing on what we call a survival mechanism, a coping mechanism of just going, gathering information because it feels good. It feels good to the mind. The mind's like, I'm doing something, I'm reading a book, I am tuning into podcasts, I'm doing it. But here's the thing that we don't touch. We don't touch our divine nature. We forgot our divine nature. And in order for us to really embrace the truth that we are all children of the universe, the hardest thing is to actually recognize yourself as the child of the universe, as well as the others, everyone else, no exception. No exception. And this is the game. You can see it as a game. You can also see it as, wow, what an initiation. What an initiation. And so when women coming to work with me at first, it really is about, okay, can we simply be with what is present right now? And I don't dictate that. I allow that to come through when we have an opening ceremony together. And I work with T as a spirit, as a medicine to allow this to happen. A lot of people have compared working with Cha as almost like the effects that you get from Qigong, which is your channels start to open without you really having to do anything very, very physical. And then that's when the channels between your subconscious and conscious mind start to open up, like the trap door creaks open and they start to speak to each other. And that's when your energy starts to up level and starts to shift. And it can happen very quickly. It can happen for after a while. Here's the thing. Timing. We're not attached to timing. Hello, Alice. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so it is a hard practice, yes. And self-love is the key for everyone. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you. Self-love is absolutely the key for everyone. And yet, why is the majority of the world not doing it? Why is the majority of the world not really getting it? Why is the front of the house different from the back of the house? A real question. A real question. And self-love to me really is a remembrance. The more we love ourselves, the more we remember what it feels like to be the divine that we truly are, to be the sacred luxury that we truly are. The more we can love ourselves, the more remembrance surfaces. And again, here's the question. Is the self-love a front of house thing, or is it a full coherent energy that goes from the front to the back and back to the front? It is a real question, because you can very easily come into a place of saying, yeah, I love myself, and yet you want to control everyone around you. You want to say, no, they should be like this. No, they should act like that. Right? Because I know it all. Because I love myself now. And here's the thing I want to really bring into this space is that when we speak about things like that, when we talk about being authentic, when we talk about self-love, we must remember that the others in our reality are also on their evolutionary journey. They're also evolving into self-love themselves. And so who are we? Who are we when we are walking as that love? It is a very important question, because that is always the missing key to a lot of people's journey, where they feel stuck, where they still think in ways that are really doubtful for themselves, where they say, I've done all the work, but it just feels like I'm not going anywhere. Yes, exactly. Unless you go into subconscious, not much shifts from my experience. Exactly that. I love this. Yes, Brittany. I love that you're having a little conversation there, by the way. So I want to bring this back into a space where we can really understand why we are in this state. Yeah, because I really want you to start to have a lot of compassion for yourself when this comes out. Far too often, I see people really beating themselves up when they think, well, I've done a lot of work, I've read a lot of books and blah, 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 and it feels like I've gone nowhere. It feels like I'm still here, I'm still doubting myself, I'm still blah, blah, blah. And I want you to know this. The heart, okay, the universe, let's just put it that way first. The universe always has to bring in a contracted moment to anchor in the next level expansion. Meaning, it contracts and then it contracts. Just like our heart, it needs to be broken in order to allow the heart to be bigger, to allow in more. And that is what I want you to understand, because owning our divine nature is one thing, but embracing our human experience as the divine is the key. And that contraction is kind of like being a human. And to be able to see being a human is also as sacred as being the infinite one, the divine, walking on this earth, is one of the most beautiful things that you can ever experience in your entire body. And it just blows your mind completely, because every day it almost feels like you're receiving a love letter from the divine, from source, from Tao, from the great infinite one, the primal one. This also really means that no, everything doesn't have to look perfect. I don't have to be in a 5-star resort or fly a private jet and say, this is my life, it's perfect, it's amazing. It really is about the feeling. I can feel that standing next to an ancient tree. I can feel that as I am sitting in ceremony with tea. And the more you compound the feeling, the more you are coming back into right relationship with spirit, because you're coming back into right relationship with nature. Therefore, you are also coming back into right relationship with your true nature, that which is divine, that which is human, that which is a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe, as a child of the universe. So, and this is a great question I'm going to dive into a bit, David. Do you ever make tea from plants that are growing live in nature around you? I don't, unfortunately, because the soil around here that I live in the city is not going to allow me to have the highest quality of tea. But the tea that we do offer, that we do share, that I do work with, is very much anchored in what we call the living tea philosophy. And they are all biochemical free, and they are allowed to grow in their indigenous origin, and they are allowed to grow in a spaciousness that is going to allow the ecosystem to do its work. Ecosystem meaning the bugs, the birds, the bees, all of that. And that allows the soil to remain healthy as well. Yeah, no biochemicals, because with fertilizers and stuff, it starts to give that the soil the sense, the need to be almost like on a crutch, which you really don't want that, because the soil, then you actually shorten the lifespan of the soil. So if you are curious, you can actually do this with your potted plants. You can take the potted plants out, and you can actually see how the roots are growing around the soil, and how the roots actually bind the soil together if it's healthy. But like, for example, if you took a branch of a tree and you planted that, after a while, and you plug it out, you can see that the roots are actually very fragile, and they don't actually go very deep. So this is a real problem, actually, that this is a real issue in most of agriculture, especially in tea right now. If you look at commercial tea, a lot of that is what's happening. Basically, they are all varietal from like a branch taken from a tree, and they are planted to yield a very specific amount of tea leaves every year. And sometimes the soil is overworked because they need the turnover. So I don't work with tea like that in ceremony. Although, if you came to work with me, you will hear me say that oftentimes with Chadao, our intention is not to slight anything as less. We drink tea, and we honor tea, and understand that her nature in a more fragile state is really because of the way human has worked with her. And so what we can really do is to intend to do better, and see how we can really support the farmers, the agricultural system that is really more beneficial for Mother Earth in general, because ultimately people who, farmers themselves are the least to be blamed, because they are really offering something that is in response to the consumers' demands, and they're the first one that are on the front line that is being affected by the biochemicals. So it's really, really, really important. Oh my goodness, Tina, that's amazing. So also just to preface, the tea that I work with, they are mainly Camellia sinensis. So I'm not talking about herbs here, just in case anyone's wondering. I'm really working with beautiful tea trees that really have lived for thousands, hundreds and thousands over years, which is really, really beautiful, because the wisdom that they carry within them really is from the very source. And the tree themselves really has taken in the cosmic wisdom, the earthly mother Gaia wisdom, and the entirety, the whole DNA of the tree is encapsulated in each leaf. It carries the entire DNA of the tree. Just like all of us human beings, we are fractals of the divine, and we carry the entire expression of the divine. In different ways, we all look different, we all have different realities that we can speak into, but we all carry the full DNA of that. Make no mistake. And part of the DNA is that we have free will. We have free will on how we want to choose to live. We can choose to live as the divine, or we can choose to not live as the divine. We can choose to put a lid on it and just exist. And that is a very real thing in today's society, where a lot of people are going about in a very numb state. And this comes back to the very beginning of the topic, is that a lot of times we don't really even know what is authentic for us and what is our authentic voice, because we are still existing in a very, very real, numbed state of coping and surviving. Meaning, you can very much detect this in yourself, and I invite you to try this, which is, if someone said something to you about you, your first response was to react or to put a lid on it, like I said, you're probably still in coping mechanism, meaning you can't even absorb it. Like, you can't even take it in. It's like, oh, why did they say that about me? I need to retaliate. I need to put a boundary on this, or like, is there something wrong with me? I start to doubt myself. I start to think I'm not good enough. I start to think maybe I need to do something better to better myself. I need to be better than them. That is a huge thing in Western society that a lot of people normalize. But the truth is that you can never be better than anyone, because you are yourself. You are a full divine expression. You cannot be better than anyone else. The only thing, and oh my God, honestly, I also don't like the saying of the only one I can be better at is to be better than myself. Like, really? That is your ego speaking. I'm sorry, because I know this goes around a lot in the self-improvement industry, where the only person that's at competition with yourself is yourself. Be better than yourself. Be better than your past version. I'm like, okay, I see the point in this, but also you're not doing your nervous system any justice by going about living that way. Because eventually, as with everything that relies on your logical mind, it gets exhausting. It gets really exhausting. This is why I invite you, and this is so deeply the core of my mentorship spaces, is that we want to go to the place where your logical mind does not exist. This is what I call the very beautiful infinite field of limitless potential. It's a double entendre, but whatever. It's an infinite field of limitless potential. This is a state, this is a higher state of consciousness where you can really tap in But your nervous system needs to be at a state where you can actually tap into that place. Because if you are literally in that survival mechanism of, rush, 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 feel, it's like I cannot be doing nothing, right? Most of the world is always like that. Okay, I have a spare time. Let me go do something. Feel. There's an empty space in the house. Fill it up with a vase. There's an empty vase. Fill it up with a flower. Like, or you know what I mean? It's like most of the world finds that so normal. But there needs to be a deliberate act of doing nothing, because it is so radical in today's society that it brings you back to the higher state of consciousness and the divine field, the infinite field that we are meant to be, literally, where peace and freedom is your baseline frequency. Unlike, just to go back to that state where, we always read about, like the sages, the monks, the shamans, they are very at one with nature. They don't need to go specifically into the forest, the mountain, the retreat, the ashram to be something, to be so unattached to the outside noise. But we're living in a modern world. And so for us, we have to be very intentional. We have to be very, very intentional to take that deliberate act of doing nothing, so that we can drop into the state that allows us to unfold into the infinite field of limitless potential. Because when you are in that field, that's when your mind gets to realize that, oh, I don't actually have to just deal with the logic. The logic always tells you things where that has been done before. Let's do it. And that is so okay. That is so good, so predictable. It's great. But if you're here, I trust that you are looking at living a fucking divine life as the divine, walking on this earth, humaning, literally souling your way through as a human. Let's just put it that way. Not compromising on any of your soul's desire. Not going from A to B, but like literally A to Z if you want to, because that is so available. But first and foremost, you got to really, really, really be honest with yourself. Like, am I in reactionary mode right now? Is my nervous system actually ready to take on the infinite field? Because too many of us are doing this. We're all like, I'm so spiritual, I love this, I do this, I meditate. But like, when you're meditating, let's be real, like you know, this is why so many people stop meditating. Is also, yes, Azra, a lot of people stop meditating until at a certain point, because they realize that, oh my God, this is asking me to go deeper into a place I've never been. And this scares the shit out of people who never dealt with their nervous system properly. Because meditation isn't about, a lot of people think of meditation in a way where it's easy to access meditation in a way where your logical mind gets to quiet down, and maybe you get some sort of, calm and peace. But what meditation really actually does is it really opens up a very intersubjective experience where you really get to deepen into the mystery of the universe. Like it's really accessing your divine nature. And a lot of people don't get there because they're too busy logicking their way. And this is why I'm so big on really coming into a place where you start to work with your body, with your mind, with your spirit all together, where you can really drop into that infinite field and actually feel that in your body and know that this is how you're meant to live. It's not a place where you escape to. It's not a place where you just go and you take a good shower and then you come out and then you forget all about it. It's not. It really is a state of mind. It is a state of consciousness. It is a way of living. And I'm just so excited to always share this, because the beautiful practice of Cha Dao allows us to come back to the state where the sages and the shamans, they lived in. That very beautiful place of nothingness where the infinite exists. Like that is where you go every time we come into ceremony. And then coming out, we get to ripple that light out to the world. Your nervous system is soothed. You know, you're not in a fight, flight, release. Like you're not in a fight, flight response. You know, too many of us do that. And here's the interesting thing. You may think that you have released something, but most of the world, because your response is still very much at that level of fight, flight, what happens is that you literally, when you relax something, something else contracts. How many of you have experienced, energetically speaking again, where you thought you have, you know, released something, and or maybe something good happened. Like in your mind, it says, oh, something great happened. And then the next thing you know, something bad, your mind classifies that as bad, happens, right? That's because a lot of the times your nervous system, your energetic body as well, your energy channels are still very much in a give and take state. What you want to do, and this is where we go together, is to really allow both channels to remain open without having to sacrifice one for another. And this is the core of the work. This is really energy. It is really energy. It is, I'm not even speaking about like really like mindset work. I'm speaking about like really energetically opening your channels. And this is why Qigong is amazing to do this. Cha Dao is really amazing for doing this. And then that's when we can finally really say, speak from the mind, speak from the heart. Because oftentimes, here, these are your minds, 3 of these minds. Which one are the ones speaking? And which one is the one that you're listening to? Yeah? So I'm just scrolling back to check some of the stuff. Bodhi, yes. I think you're talking about the teas. Smaller farmers are being attacked. Yeah, so I think it's more important than ever that we support artisanal farmers who really care. Charlie is asking, can you recommend a very good matcha tea? I don't really work with matcha because that is a Japanese tradition. I mainly work in a Chinese lineage, but I can say there is this beautiful matcha that I got when I was in Kyoto, in Wazuka. Actually, they run a very small organic tea farm, and it's so interesting because they actually had they took a while to actually grow that organic tea farm, and so many people were saying like, this is not gonna work, you know, but they persisted. And so I love supporting them. And their name is Azuma Tea Farm. You can find them on Instagram. Okay. Yes, it's different, Tina. It's different than herbal tea. Absolutely. Camellia sinensis is basically the mother of tea. And they were first found in Yunnan in China. Yeah. So tea from Yunnan still carries a lot of wisdom and ancestral energy, because the people there still pray to the tea as ancestors. They see tea as their mothers, their grandmothers, their ancestors. So it's like the tea blesses them and they also bless the tea. It's a beautiful tradition that they still uphold. So their teas are a lot more expensive, but the energy is bellissima. Bellissima. All right. So Bodhi says, at the supermarket that say the food is made using regenerative agriculture, which doesn't deplete the soil. Yes, that will be great. And also just to remind everyone, when something says it's organic, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have fertilizers and biochemicals in them. So just really ask. I like to talk to the people who sell the stuff to see how much they know their stuff, because that really sheds a lot of light on you know, whether they know their stuff and whether they know what is their relationship with these tea. Let's talk about that. Thank you. I hope I spoke about that. Deborah, let me know if you have any questions. Tina, doing nothing is radical, yet what we all need in this. Yeah, exactly. You know, Cha Dao itself, the word Dao comes from what we know of as Taoism today, but Dao is so much more than the literal translation of the way. Dao is a way of living, but Dao exists in everything. Dao is the mother of all things. Dao, from one Dao, two was birth, which is yin and yang, and from yin and yang, 5 elements, and from 5 elements, so on and so forth, thousands of things. So to return to Tao is to return to our true nature. And our true nature, let's just put it this way, stillness peers out of our true nature. Everything that is true doesn't require justification. Our highest truth doesn't require justification. Okay? And I want to really bring this back to being authentic, because I feel like a lot of times we want to be authentic, but we don't want to face up to our, you know, murkier sides, our things that people said are not good, maybe, that we took on, or things that we're not proud of, that we are a bit embarrassed about, blah, 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 blah. But that is also part of your authentic self. And I'm not saying this in a way of saying, okay, you have to go and share that with the world and you have to shout that all over the top of your lungs. If you want to, you can. But what I'm really saying about this is that to integrate this as part of our authentic self is to really love those parts of ourselves. And again, going back to this is that if the communication channel between your subconscious and your conscious minds are not open, meaning they're not speaking to each other, you are still in fight-flight response. You're still caught in coping mechanism, meaning you're either avoiding, or you're fighting, or you're just numb. So you have to be very honest with yourself about this, because I can ask you about an incident right now from many years ago, or from yesterday, or from just an hour ago, that really hurt you, that really kicked you in the butt. And if you told me, well, you know, I don't feel anything. Like if I asked you, like, can you feel anything in your body when you think about that, when you bring up that memory? And you said, I don't feel anything. Or you feel something in your body, like a charge or a contraction or a tension. Great, go there. But if you don't feel anything, that's probably because that thing has been buried for a long time and your coping mechanism is literally numbing it with things that you can do other than being with it. Watching Netflix, eating shitty food, I don't know, like all the stuff that we are so used to doing and think it's normal. Scrolling on social media, right? So we have to be very honest with ourselves and take full responsibility, because if we don't, until we do, we're just going to be running in this circle. And again, going back to like free will. So do you want to live this way, or do you want to fully be expressed? And, you know, many years ago, almost 10 years ago now, I had to make a decision. You know, I had to really ask myself, when I was deeply like mired in my eating disorders, like, do I want to keep living that way, or do I want to live? You know? So again, as with all divine beings, you have free will. Okay? So let's see. Okay. Okay, Chandra, thank you for that. I received that message. You're so welcome. Mary, your words resonate. I feel fortunate and challenged listening. I'm concerned that many people, we don't have access to the teas that we need to help us evolve. I hope to work with you. What do you recommend in the meantime? Thank you. All right, Mary. I'll circle back to that. Tina, farmer markets are a good source. Yeah. David, do you have any precious teas that are very old or lost teas that aren't available anymore? Yeah, I think so, because every tea is different. It could have the same name, but every tea is different. And this is a real powerful switch in perspective, is that we really live in the present moment. You know, if you come in to work with me, every ceremony is the first and the last time. And so we become very present to the moment. We are very present in the ceremony, instead of asking like, oh, how can I get this tea? I love it. I want more of it. Or saying, oh, you know, this tea reminds me of something I had in the past. You're actually staying very present to the moment, to the tea itself, the tea that we're having right now. Because the truth of the matter is, this tea is not going to be replicated anywhere. Not even the same cake, not even the same bag. Because you are coming in with a certain energy level, you're coming in with a certain energetic structure, and you're walking out a different person. And so the next time we come back, let's say, and we're having the same tea in the same place, it's a different feeling, it's a different tea, because you're a different person, first and foremost. And also every leaf in the tea is so unique. Each leaf, imagine this, a tree can stand in one single place, and the sunlight that beams down, the rain that falls, the wind that blows is coming from all different directions. Each part of the tree takes in different levels of sunlight, rain, minerals that's coming through the roots. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even that itself is so unique and such a powerful blueprint. Like, and every time we say, oh, okay, it's the same name, for example, Divine Light. I have this beautiful white tea that I sell called Divine Light. If for the next batch I get it and I still name it Divine Light, but it came from a tree that is 1 year older. It came from a tree that is another year older, you know, and it's probably from the other side of the tree. It's probably the tree had different levels of water, you know, so on and so forth, and produced by a different person's hands, you know. And I mean, all of my teas are precious. All of my teas are precious. Tea trees that are 1,000-year-old, oh my god. It's like having an ayahuasca experience without the ayahuasca. And I just want to put it this way, like, this is not psychedelic. It literally is a medicine that has been forgotten through time. It has always been a medicine for a long time, until it became a beverage. And this is why I want to circle back to Mary's question, which is Cha Dao. Yeah, the Dao exists in everything. It exists in you. It exists in this very laptop, this very TV, this very table, this tea that I'm drinking. It's all in there. It's in you. It's in me. You don't need the tea to unveil the Tao, to awaken the Tao. This is what I always say. I'm very, very, very transparent about this. You don't need that. You don't need anything to allow the Tao to be expressed. You don't need anything. You don't need the books. You don't need the Queen's Code. You don't need anything. You don't need me. But you get to because you choose to. You get to have the support, the guidance, because you choose to. You get to live as the fully expressed divinity that you are in human form, because you choose to. It is free will. I choose to walk with tea because I have felt home within me for the very first time in my entire life, when I first encountered tea in ceremony in this lineage. and I literally quit my daytime job. I didn't know what was going to happen. I dove deep into the unknown. I just followed. I literally, for the first time in my entire life, coming from a hyper controlling, fearful, lack of self-love person, for the first time I felt, wow, this is how home feels like within me. And I saw lineages and lineages of my grandmothers, great grandmothers, all the women I don't know and I know in that bowl of tea that I held in my hands. And I knew my ancestry even before I could trace it in physical form. And now I'm doing it in this physical dimension because I know this is my purpose. This is more than work. This is literally my devotion. Because I know for every woman who hears the call of the tea spirit that I'm talking about, there is something here the spirit has for her. And the medicine can only go as deep as your willingness to open your heart up. Every medicine that is true medicine, and I'm not talking about medication, guys. I'm talking about true plant spirit medicine, only can go as deep as your willingness to open your heart to receive that. This is why every person who comes to work with me, I say this: you will get exactly what you came here for. You will get exactly what you opened your heart up to receive. And this is why tea that I'm speaking of, it has always been from the earliest text by the Yellow Emperor, which is still very relevant in traditional Chinese medicine today, said that tea is the empress of all herbs and it is a Shen tonic. Shen is spirit in English. Shen is the first starlight that dropped into the heart and the baby opened her eyes and took the first breath. And so many of us have to put the Shen back into our hearts. Why? Because it flew away. It flew away when trauma hit us. It flew away when we had to fight. It flew away when we had to flight. This is the work. We are. And Mother, this is the thing, everyone. We are living beings in a living being. Earth is a living being. She is a living being. We are living beings in a living being. Our origin, our indigenous soul, we have to remember this because our power lies in this. Nobody can give it to us. Nobody can take it from us if we remember this. Our indigenous soul is divine. And to be divine is to be the one to express heaven on earth. This is the truth we must anchor in because we are in an ascension time that energy is shifting rapidly, energetically. We are all rising. And we are the ones who are going to shine the light in the darkness. Nobody else. Nobody else. So this is the work. This is powerful work. So, Tina, so each tea batch is unique like us. Yes. And every moment is unique. Exactly. Exactly. All of us carry the DNA of the divine, and also we are all unique. And this is part of the journey of being the divine living on earth, the divinity having a human experience. We must understand this. And what that means is that when we are being human, the human part does doubt, the human part does fear. But as the divine, what can we do here to lead the human part of us? This is the evolution. Sarah, Tina, I feel blessing your food or tea is a lovely practice. What if your lineage is not from that part of the world? I love this question. So you don't have to have that lineage. And this is the thing. Most of my, actually 100% of my clients are not from that part of the world. You know, I have clients from America, from Europe. It's just all over the world. And so I think there is something beautiful about this spirit because the more we work with her, the more we actually trace our own ancestral journey. And it has nothing to do with that part of the world. It's really not. And I think there's a huge reason why I'm here, able to tap into that spirit and bring it through my own journey, so that you can come back to your own heart, your own story, let's put it that way, the reason why you're here. Yeah, your telos, your telos, basically, why the cause, which is really bound tightly with your authentic self. Your authentic self is truly going to be liberated when you really own this part of yourself. Like, you really stand for every part of you, knowing that everything is happening for you, as you, through you. No exceptions. No exceptions. This is going to really, yeah, it's going to change a lot of things for you. This is such good tea, guys. Oh my goodness. This tea that I'm drinking is from Yunnan, and oh my goodness, it's like, whew, it's got this beautiful floral, sensational smell to it, but like when you drink it in, it tastes a bit like chocolate as well. It's like a red tea, so I just love it. All right, so I am very grateful that we could have such a beautiful conversation and have everyone come into a place to really dive deep into some of the contemplation that we are having today. Before I end, I would like to make sure, if you have any questions, please ask right now. I will come back next month on Insight Timer, and I will share a beautiful leaves in a bowl tea ceremony. 3 bowls together. It's not the full ceremony because I won't be able to do it justice. I really want to honor this journey as a mentor, which means that I like to do things in a more long-term basis. So yeah, David, you can absolutely check out the link in my bio, and there's one event coming up where, if you're new to my world, it's absolutely excellent to dive into, which is called the Portal. We will go into the portals of 7/7 July, of 7th of July, and also the 8/8 portal, which is the Lion's Gate. And this is really powerful because it is the 888 frequency this year. And working with tea, we really do the tea ceremony in the cosmos, opening up the portals, really diving deep. And this is why I have 2 ceremonies together, so that we can walk together for not just like one ceremony and then you're gone, but like we can actually do this work together and really anchor in the frequency, the 888 frequency. But you can also definitely jump into mentorship spaces with me. Those spaces are open, definitely. In the link in my bio, you can explore that or drop me a message. Happy to chat with you about the possibilities, to really dive into a world that is so transformative. Like, I really feel this is it really is something that I find that we get to work with the mystery of life so deeply, past the ego, past the attachment to time, and really past the attachment to logic in many ways. I'm not dissing logic, but I'm saying once we're able to balance those two, because we're so over logicked right now in this world, once we can balance them, the inspirational space, the place where you allow yourself spaciousness to grow and evolve, and then come back into allowing your masculine logical mind to spearhead the actions that are aligned with who you truly are. That's when all the effects start to ripple out into your world, into your relationship with nature, spirit, with all the others in your world. And yeah, you can really see huge shift in your life, very much so. Understanding why certain things have to be released, understanding how to nourish certain things, how to nurture the infinite field of limitless potential, how to really go into a next level visionary state of consciousness, because we don't just want to get stuck on here, where oftentimes people come in and say, you know, I need to fill this part up, or I need to fix this part up. It's not about that. It's really about really unveiling your true nature. And a lot of the work really does happen in a place where we really allow the mystery to shine through. We really allow spirit to lead us. And I think that is a huge quality of a leader as well, by the way. You know, a leader to me is not someone who knows the plan and knows everything. A leader to me is one who really is so willing to be led by spirit and take that aligned action even when in the moment there's no evidence of why or what's going to happen. And you're literally, when you do that, you're setting a new standard in the field. You're setting a new standard as the new ancestors of Earth. We all are. We literally are. Yeah. Don't forget that. Yes, how fortunate to have in our lives. Much gratitude to all of you as well. I mean, I have been living this work for a while now, and let me tell you, every day is like a new invitation to higher frequencies, higher standards of living. And the minute we set standards, we don't actually have to worry about boundaries. And this is a whole other level of conversation, which I will dive into next time. But when you have a standard, you're literally energetically putting it out there that everything that is an energetic match will come, and anything that's not is going to crumble and fall away. And this is where I really want to say, this is, I feel like oftentimes this is where I come in, is to guide you in those moments when you may forget who you are. You may forget that, oh, and your mind starts to judge that as a bad thing. But the key to living a life as a divine in the human experience is to realize that everything is happening for us, as us, through us. So I think that's where I would like to end this beautiful conversation. A lot of the work that we do also takes place in silence, in stillness. And this is why I would love to share a little tea ceremony next month for all of you to experience the power and the potency, because my work is really energetic, and it is for the woman who is, yes, and by the way, David, I know that you're so interested in working with me, but I think the best way for a man to come in is like a bespoke tea ceremony. But I usually work with women, multidimensional women who know that their next level, their next move is energetic. Like it's that energy they want to work with. Yeah. So here we are. Let's fucking go. I'm so excited. And thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this and you found this powerful and potent, please share my profile. Please share this work. It means a lot to me when you do. So make sure you let me know when you do. Tag me or message me. I would love to know that, and share your joy and your happiness, anything that shifted for you as well. Sending you all so much love, and thank you so much for being here. Mwah! Bye bye.